low to mid 70s by the end of this upcoming week, with a chance of showers returning for next weekend. And we'll keep an eye on it for you. Let's send it back to you, Jess.
Catherine, you might relate to this here. Don't you hate when our Wi-Fi lags? You get stuck waiting for a TV show or a web page to load. Well, joining us today is Dave Hatter, tech expert here, who's got some tips to improve our Wi-Fi. Good morning.
Hi, Jessica.
I should have talked with you about this a long time ago because I think this is a big problem. The first thing people ever say when they go somewhere is, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Yeah, my kids, when their friends come over, it's like, what's the Wi-Fi? If
Right,
what's the Wi-Fi password? They're
Right.
It's like, it's a crisis. I got to get on the Wi-Fi.
Exactly. So if you're having issues with your signal, it's not working well, what are some tips and tricks to make it work for
Well,
us?
it's a good question. There's a lot of things you can do, but one of the first things I want to point out to folks is the weakest link in the chain is always going to be the constraining factor. And it's just as simple as if you had a Ferrari, but you put like a Kia motor in it, it's not going to go any faster than the motor. So if you have a high-speed router, even if you have, and then have a low-speed internet connection through your internet service provider, Time Warner, whomever, it's never going to be any faster than that. A lot of times people will go buy these really fancy high-end routers that are really fast, and that'll give you a really high-speed connection inside, wherever you have that router, but it's still going to be constrained by that outside connection. So that's something to keep in mind. Faster, but the reverse is true too. If you have a really high-speed internet connection, you may not be able to maximize it and take advantage of it if you don't have the right router. So there's a bunch of different router standards. The most common ones now are G, N, and AC. These all have fairly high-speed connections. For example, the N router will do like up to 600 megabits per second, and the ACs will do up to a gigabit per second.
So you want to invest in one that's going to work well.
Right. You want to get a router, and you could talk. Some people will tell you should buy a new router every couple of years. Now, a lot of times when you sign up with a broadband connection through like Time Warner or someone, they'll give you a cable modem / router that does all this stuff. You won't even know any of this. Okay. You can always replace that. You're probably going to have to work with them to get that right. But there are simple tips you can do if you don't want to spend the money for a new one.
Right.
A lot of this has to do with just the signal that wireless router is putting out and your proximity to it. If you have it on like the top floor of the house and you go to the bottom floor of the house on the far corner, it's going to have to shoot through the floor and all kinds of walls and so forth. So sometimes just moving the router will make a big difference. Most of these things have antennas. You can tweak the antenna, move it around.
To face where you are.
That's right. Try to point the antenna. A lot of times the antenna is kind of, because in the box, it's just pointed down along the back. Just standing the antenna up and trying to position the antenna may help a lot.
I like that one.
Yeah, rebooting once in a while.
Okay.
Just reboot once in a while.
I'm surprised that you said that. You were talking about this during the break. I haven't rebooted my router, I don't know how long. You're saying to do it often.
Yeah, I would do it maybe once a week or every other week or so. It's a good idea with any kind of computer-based equipment to just reboot it once in a while. It kind of clears it out, resets it, gets everything back in sync. Good idea to reboot it once in a while. Another thing you should do, because it's security related too, most all of the vendors that make these products will occasionally put out firmware updates. The software that makes the thing work internally, you need to apply those firmware updates. It's usually really simple. You log into the router, you click a link, it'll tell you if there's something new. That will fix security holes in the router, and a lot of times it will fix performance issues as well. So there's a lot of simple, relatively
cheaper things that you can do.
Or very inexpensive to do. Again,
and that's what we like to hear.
Just moving it.
Really quickly, you mentioned something about a signal extender.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about these.
Good question, Jessica. So again, a lot of times, maybe it's not really practical to move it because the cable companies put the cable where it is, and it's going to be a big pain to actually physically move the router very far. So you can buy signal extenders, and they work in a variety of ways. They're pretty cheap. Basically, it will pick up that signal and re-amplify it so that you can get more coverage out of your router, and it'll work, your wireless connection will work better the further away you are from the router.
I like that. Yeah. I'm going to try some of these tips, okay? And I'm going to call you about this because I really
Feel
find
free.
that this is good information. We're going to put these tips, by the way, Dave, on our website at fox19now.com, so hopefully this will boost your Wi-Fi connection. 8:55 now. The Kentucky primary, is just days away. Fox 19 Now, Sean Lanier is in Fort Thomas this morning, where presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton will be campaigning later today. Sean, what can you tell us?